guys. Long time no see, huh? Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to another video here on my channel. I hope you guys are doing so well. I took a very extended, very unplanned break. At this point of filming, I've basically been gone a month, and I am hopeful that this video is going to come out in just a few days, but it might not be out till next week. So if that's the case, and it really has been like a full and complete month, sorry. So basically what happened was I got married on the 15th of September. I will put a picture in. Look at us, oh my God. So we got married, and it was just a crazier week before the week of the wedding than I planned on. So like the first week of September was also insane, and then the second week of September was the part that was supposed to be a break, and that was like basically our like pre-honeymoon into the wedding. And then I got back and I have just started to feel like a person again. So I know you guys have been so lovely down below in the comments. I have not really been responding because I didn't want to start answering those until I knew when I was coming back. So that's why I kind of just completely disappeared. But thank you for sticking around. I hope you're ready to talk about the Vampire Diaries today, because I sure am. If you are new to my channel and you just listened to that whole rambling intro, or maybe you skipped ahead and now you're catching up here, I just want to say hi, welcome. We talk about TV here. I probably will do movies at some point, but for now we're doing the Vampire Diaries, Once Upon a Time, and Good Omens. I'm also working on some bookish content as well, so that's coming. If I had to guess, I would say that the next couple videos are going to be Vampire Diaries, Throne of Glass, and then back to Once Upon a Time, back to Vampire Diaries. I'm kind of relaxing on myself because I'm navigating a lot of life changes, a lot of job changes right now. So we won't be making any more promises, but nothing's getting abandoned. I will say that. I'm always coming back, even if I gotta take a break. That being said, go ahead and subscribe if you aren't already. That way you don't miss, even if I take a little bit of a hiatus now and again. I'm usually here twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week when I'm feeling a little feisty. All right, I've rambled enough. Let's get in to episode 19 of season 5 of the Vampire Diaries. We open with Stefan and Elena. They are doing homework together, and he's kind of like gone back into like best friend mode, because if you'll remember, Damon and her like officially broke up for like the 4th time. So they're not together anymore. And Stefan is kind of trying to be the glue that holds everyone together, because the other side is also falling apart. So everybody's a little on edge right now. We cut very abruptly to the Mojo Dojo Casa house, where Tyler and Matt are running around frantically trying to look for the traveler knife, because they're like, Tyler said he hid it in the piano, but it's not in the piano. Damon shows up. He can't come inside because the Mojo Dojo Casa house is anti-vampire, okay? He's stuck on the porch and he's like, you idiots. Has anyone seen Tyler recently? And it becomes abundantly clear that Tweedledee and Tweedledum didn't put it together until right this moment that maybe Tyler has a passenger trapped within him. Speaking of Tyler, we cut to him. Tyler wakes up in chains because, you know, he's a hybrid. So he starts panicking and he's like, what's going on? Where am I? Marcos is like, not here. And then he draws forward Julian, which is the passenger trapped in Tyler. Then Marcos explains the plan to everybody. Basically, it's that same idea of like, they have this new spell that they're gonna do. It's gonna break the curse that the witches put on them, and they'll be able to take over Mystic Falls and be evil together. Sloane is gonna be the guinea pig, so she is given Tyler's blood, and then Marcos kills her, and he's like, now we wait. Damon calls Enzo because Enzo is his bestie, and he's like, I need help. I can't find Tyler. Where are the travelers? Enzo is like, I'm sorry, I don't know. I've got no idea where they are. Also, I'm on my way to a meeting. The meeting ends up being cornering Elena and Stefan at the grill and being like, Stefan, you MFer, I know you killed Maggie. Maggie, remember, is Enzo's girlfriend. When Enzo was locked up in Augustine, she was the one that like took notes on him. So he thinks that Stefan is the one that killed her because he has a picture now of Maggie, and the picture is Maggie with her head not fully attached to her shoulders. So he's like, I know you did it. It must have been you. Stefan is like, no, I was not a ripper at that time. Okay, so it couldn't have been me. Enzo isn't having any of that. He calls Liv over because Liv works at this place. I might have said the grill. They're not at the grill. They're over in the college town. Okay, they're in Whitmore area. So he calls Liv over. He kidnapped Luke, and now Liv is like working for him in order to like get Luke back. Okay, keep up. It's a lot. So then Enzo calls Damon back and he's like, can you please check Stefan's journals for me? I need a fact check. And Damon's like, Stefan burned his journals. Why? And Enzo's like, because Stefan killed Maggie. And Damon's like, when? And when Enzo tells him the date, he's like, but Stefan wasn't a ripper then. And Enzo's like, I know you're all lying to me. I know he killed her, okay? This is also a cute phone call because Damon realizes very quickly that Enzo is like unwell, and he's like, you got your murder voice on, okay? So why don't you like calm down and tell me where you are and we can fix this together, okay? And Enzo's just like, no, how about I just murder Elena? What then, Damon? Stefan ends up having a memory flash of the night that Maggie was killed. It was election night for JFK, and he was in town, and he did meet Maggie. In the meeting, she says that Stefan is the brother that got the handsome genes, and like, listen, I'm not saying Paul Wesley is ugly. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that you're gonna look at these two, and this isn't the handsome brother? I don't understand. I have never understood it. Every time I watch that scene, I'm like, She was looking for Damon in hopes of killing him because in her opinion, he killed Enzo with the fire situation at Whitmore. So when Stefan realized that, he scared Maggie off to get her to leave town, but he did not kill her. Damon is calling Caroline, but for some reason, she's MIA in this episode and not answering anybody's phone calls. We will never learn where Caroline was hiding on this day. So Damon goes to Liz instead, and because she's the sheriff, she has record of everything, so she knows that Maggie was killed on November 8th, blah, blah, blah. And when Damon opens the file and sees the picture of Maggie's body, he's like, oh, so Stefan didn't kill Maggie. And Liz is like, how do you know that for sure? And Damon's like, because it turns out I did. We get this horrible flashback of Maggie finally like breaking that little wall that was up between her and Enzo, because he's been very adamant to everybody that like they were not like really together because they kept everything professional, and she never got too close to the bars and he was never like able to like touch her or anything like that. But they loved each other, and I think he calls it like an attachment because he's a grandpa. But we see now that Maggie at one point was like, I want you to turn me. If you turn me into a vampire, then I'll be strong enough, I can break you out and we can run away together. So Enzo was like, okay, come here. And she like came over to him and he bit his wrist and was gonna like let her drink his blood. And then when she got close enough, he ripped her vervain bracelet off and was just like, I need you to leave. I want you to run away. I want you to forget everything you know about this place. And when you go, I want you to forget me, forget that I love you. And so she starts to leave and he bends down, he picks up her vervain bracelet, even though it's burning his little fingies, and he's like, here you go, this fell off your wrist. And she's like, oh, thank you. And she just leaves. Damon shows up and is like, let the hostages go, you creepy sociopath, because Enzo not only kidnapped the gang of friends, but he like made everybody in the bar in like very Klaus style stay still and watch. Damon tries to talk Enzo down, but seeing Damon, I think it just because Enzo feels safe with him, it just kind of makes him break down even more. So he's like really broken up and like starting to cry. And then Damon is like, okay, but listen, it wasn't Stefan, it was me. I killed Maggie, my fault, me, I did it, and that is even worse. Enzo's like, what do you mean? What do you mean you did it? Like, just destroyed. So Damon recounts what he did, which is basically that Maggie lured him out by saying she wanted to interview him, and then when she got him out, she tried to kidnap him with like a vervain needle, and he realized she was from Whitmore/Augustine, and not knowing that she was Enzo's Maggie. I don't know how he didn't put that together, but he didn't. He just freaking like grabbed her by the throat and popped her head off. No remorse, because remember, Damon's switch was turned off. So Enzo was like, okay, cool. Now I'm definitely gonna murder Elena. It's time, let's go, I'm gonna kill her. He goes after Elena and Damon is like, no, 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 hold on. What if you just kill me? You can do whatever you want. I need you to just let Elena and Stefan go, but you can kill me, you can take it out on me, that's fine, I understand, I deserve it. And Enzo has an even bigger breakdown and he's like, no, Damon, you don't understand. You don't deserve it. Like, I can't hate you, Damon. If I hate you, then I really do have nothing left. He starts crying and then he turns his humanity off before Damon can stop him. And when I say that Damon tries to stop him, I mean that he rushes forward and he's like, no, 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 don't you dare, don't do it. And he's like grabbing Enzo and Enzo opens his eyes and is like, there we go. All better. Danger, red flag, sirens, bad, 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 bad. We go back to Tyler fighting for his life with the Travelers. Sloane wakes up mid-transition into like hybrid vampire lady. Marcos reveals that Elena and Stefan's blood mixed together will nullify witch magic. We haven't known that up until now. I guess maybe they did something to it. It doesn't matter. Sloane drinks it. Enzo is absolutely unhinged in the bar, shattering bottles, breaking things. He is not doing well. Damon wants to run off and travel together. He's like, I'll go with you. We can leave right now. We can do whatever you want. We just need to let everybody else go. He slips Stefan a piece of glass so that Stefan can cut the ropes off. Then Enzo grabs Liv, drinks from her, smashes a bottle, stabs it into Damon's throat, snatches Elena, and leaves. Damon goes after Elena, Stefan stays behind and saves Liv's life and then leaves Liv there with Bonnie. Damon calls Enzo and is like, I will go anywhere you want to go, just please don't hurt Elena. Enzo takes Elena away. She tries to talk him out of it and she's basically like, look, if you were really gonna kill me, you would have done it by now. Like, I know how you feel, my switch was off, I could help you through this. Enzo's not having it and he starts like breaking a piece of like wood to make a stake to kill her. Stefan arrives and saves her, but the boys get into like an all-out brawl situation. Bonnie helps Liv, and then in turn, Liv admits that there's nothing anybody can do to save Bonnie from like the other side collapsing situation. She's like, there is no spell, nothing can be done. You need to say goodbye to Jeremy because that boy loves you. Damon finds Elena and rips the vervain ropes off of her even though they burn him. The boys are still fighting and it's getting real bad for Steph. Enzo, because he has lost his marbles, tries to light both of them on fire and he's like, won't that be painful for Damon, losing both of us in one go? So then Stefan reaches in and grabs Enzo by the heart. He's trying to force him to turn his emotions back on, like he's trying to scare him into that. But Enzo, remember, okay, he's been tortured. There's not a lot you can do to him that's gonna freak him out, especially with his humanity off. So he decides, you know what would be sweet, sweet revenge? If somehow he could make it so that Damon's brother kills his best friend. So then, you know, Stefan's hand is in his heart. He grabs hold of Stefan and like pushes himself away so that Stefan rips his heart out. So Enzo dies. Stefan then listens to the voicemail that Damon left Enzo and he's just like heartbroken. Meanwhile, back at home, okay, Damon drops Elena off and tucks her in and then he sees a message from Enzo agreeing to run away. Elena wakes up alone. Stefan comes over and immediately tells her the truth about Enzo and he's like, wouldn't it be better if we don't tell Damon, because Damon's gonna spiral, okay? Damon's gonna lose his shit. We should just tell him that Enzo ran away. And Elena is like, no, we shouldn't. We should give him a chance. We should tell him the truth. He loves Enzo, like he needs to know. And Stefan is like, oh, I'm sorry. I already did the thing I said we should do. He already thinks Enzo ran away. Now you're trapped in a lie with me, my bad. Jeremy and Matt fill Bonnie in on the whole like, Tyler must have been kidnapped by the Travelers situation, and then Bonnie asks Matt to leave the room. She is supposed to tell Jeremy the truth, except she lies again and says there's nothing to worry about, the spell's working, Liv's doing great work, she's gonna come back, blah-de-da-de-da. Stefan calls and interrupts her lie fest with Jeremy to tell her that Enzo is dead and will be crossing over soon, and they cannot tell Damon. So then Enzo shows up in the room and Jeremy is like, who's here? And Bonnie's like, I don't know, it's just some random werewolf or something. Enzo is like, go ahead, keep your little secret. Did I mention I'm really good at revenge? And then he passes over into the other side. Sloane wakes up and Marcos is like, are you still a vampire? She cuts her hand doesn't heal, she's not a vampire anymore. Marcos is thrilled. But then this means that the wound that Sloane got when he cut her throat and killed her earlier opens up again and she freaking dies for real. Tyler's disgusted by this and he almost like outs himself because, you know, he's still Tyler and not Julian. So he's like, oh my God, she's dead. And Marcos is like, yeah. And it was worth it. Basically, the Traveler plan is to undo the witch magic, therefore making it impossible for vampires to live in Mystic Falls, because if there is a vampire in the area when the magic is lifted, they'll just revert back to how they died as humans. Stefan comes home and Damon is there and he promises Stefan that he will fix the situation with Enzo. Stefan tries to comfort him and get him to agree to leave the situation with Enzo alone, but Damon refuses. He tells Stefan that Enzo is the reason that he never fully grew to hate Stefan. Like, all those times that he wanted to, he would remember that Enzo had always reminded him that at least he had family, at least he had a brother, and that was like what got him through the years of torture. So Damon's like, we owe him, okay? We both owe him. But Enzo is watching and he's not about any of this forgiveness bullshit. He's just pissed off. 20 is a hard vibe shift, okay? We get shirtless Tyler chained to a bed while a lady is like crawling up on him, giving him kisses. That's how he wakes up. He's gotta pretend he's Julian, because this is Julian's wife, Maria. She kind of walks away from him and then gives him some information saying like, oh, the camp is moving, Marcos is blah, blah, blahing, the plan's unfolding, things are getting bad. He panics and breaks out and then turns into a wolf and escapes the camp. Luke is at the house with Damon trying to do a locator spell on Enzo, who is dead, so the spell doesn't work. Tyler shows up and is like, red alert, Marcos has an awful plan that's going to kill all of us. So Damon takes Elena and Stefan and Caroline over to Caroline's dad's cabin in the woods to hide them there. Luke is basically gonna do a spell on the front porch that's gonna like cloak the cabin, and then that way the travelers can't find them. Caroline is back. She picks up on the awkwardness between Stefan and Elena, but she thinks it means they're back together. Damon is like, I think it means they're lying to me about something to do with Enzo. There's a really sad moment where Caroline's like on the porch feeling somebody looking at her, and it turns out it's Enzo. She walks through him and he's like, oh, I thought that would feel better than it did. Like, trying to connect with her still. I don't know what it is with her and villains and British men, but I get it. I know, I understand. I get it. Damon and Elena have a really awkward moment together. It's clear that they're still in love, and because of what's happened with Enzo, I think it's making Damon more vulnerable. So he's like ready to lean on her, and she's kind of like, no, I feel so guilty. I can't believe I'm lying to you about this. So she almost tells him. Like, in this moment, he's like, what were you gonna say? And she's like, nothing. And they get interrupted. We cut to Bonnie and Jeremy hooking up. They're supposed to have a date weekend. I should tell you that the next couple episodes happen over the course of like a few days, okay? It's like a day and a half, I think. It's awful when we get to the end. Y'all wanted this. Y'all have been waiting for the end of season 5. You brought this on yourselves. They get a text about Tyler, realizing that Tyler is back at home. Jeremy's like, okay, we need to leave. Bonnie agrees. When Jeremy leaves the room, Grams shows up and she's like, Bonnie freaking Bennett, you are lying to that boy. You're a lying liar. You need to tell him the truth because the other side is breaking apart and he's gonna be devastated when you break apart with it. In this moment, Grams walks into a lamp and knocks it over, so for some reason the ghost can touch things now. Enzo is haunting Elena and Stefan in the barn, and he realizes he can touch things too, so red alert, danger. Caroline makes up a game called Secrets We Think We Can Get Away With, and she wants to play charades because she's trying to get Elena and Stefan to admit that they're back together. This is again when Damon is like, I think it's Enzo. I think they're lying to me about Enzo, and she's like, no, I think they're in love. The boys now have Tyler chained up so that they can speak to the traveler Julian inside of him as safely as possible. Julian does come out and he starts throwing a little hissy fit, so they force feed him like a vervain wolfsbane mixture to torture him so that he will tell them where Marcos is. Marcos sends Julian's wife Maria after him so that she can make the body switch into Tyler permanent. The gang at the cabin plays charades. Team Stelina is winning because of course Caroline and Damon are like not really into the game mood. Damon suggests Never Have I Ever, and everybody agrees. Stefan and Elena are like playing along, they're all being jokey and teasing each other, but then Caroline makes it weird and she's like, never have I ever kissed a Salvatore brother today. And Elena is like, are you like implying something? And Caroline's like, why don't you just admit it? Just admit it, because she's super jealous, okay? And then Damon very quickly is like, never have I ever lied about where Enzo is. And Stefan's just like, but nobody drinks. And Damon's like, what is going on here? Something is fishy. And Stefan's like, clearly nothing's going on because Nobody drank. Loser behavior. The gang breaks up game night and Elena goes and takes a bath. Enzo is being a creep and like haunting her in the bathroom with her, and he's like, oh, a nice hot bath, maybe that'll soothe your guilt, huh, Elena? When she gets in the tub, he just like grabs her and shoves her under the water and starts drowning her, okay? One of my favorite things though is that in this moment where she's like deeply in danger, she surfaces for like half a second and goes, Damon, and then goes back under the water, like the quickest of calls for him, but our boy comes running, okay? So he barrels into the room. She's not being drowned anymore. So he's like, what is it? What is it? What happened? He wraps her in a towel. He's like, are you okay? What's going on? And she's like, I don't know. Somebody was in here with me. Somebody was in here. Somebody was trying to kill me. And he's like, what? Caroline's dad? I don't think he would have done that to you, Elena. Like, what kind of ghost do you have haunting you? And she's like, Damon. And she tells him the truth about Enzo. Julian's still fighting against Matt and Tyler to not give them any info. He does end up admitting that the knife has been destroyed. Matt goes a little feral and he's like, you're in my best friend's body and I will be getting my answers. And then he just starts like stabbing him in the stomach. Julian gives up at that point and is like, look, I can't tell you where they are because I don't know, okay? I left before camp was moved, but I can tell you where my body is. Caroline confronts Stefan and finds out about the lying about Enzo, and then Damon shows up and is like, I also know the truth because Elena just told me, you mean brother. But Stefan is like, here's the thing. There are ghosts trying to hurt us. We should like regroup later, okay? Damon realizes, oh my God, I know Enzo better than this. Hurting Elena was just a trick. He must actually be trying to hurt all of us. And they realize that Luke is missing from the porch. Marcos and the travelers do a spell and locate them at the cabin. Damon is mad at Stefan, but also he's mostly just hurt. Like, ultimately that's what he's feeling, because he's like, I get it. Like, you think I'm a monster. You think I couldn't handle this, but he was my best friend and you killed him and he's been dead. And I just had no idea. Like, you took away my mourning from me. I didn't even get to be sad. Bonnie and Jeremy find the cave where the traveler bodies are being kept, and it is a lot of bodies. Stefan and Damon find Luke tied up in a shed. Enzo shows up and then lights that little shed on fire and then starts stabbing Stefan and Damon so the boys can't escape. Damon says that he can get Enzo back from the other side, but in exchange, Enzo has to stop hurting them. Stefan gets free and saves Luke and gets out. And then Enzo is like, you better not disappoint me this time, Damon, and stops hurting him so that Damon can also leave. Bonnie and Jeremy get attacked in the Traveler Cave and Maria shows up and takes Julian's body. The unfortunate trio of Matt, Jeremy, and Bonnie watch as Tyler is like taken away by that spell. You know, we already saw it happen with Catherine and Elena. It happens again, except Tyler has this awful moment of like looking up at Bonnie and being like, make it stop, and then it's Julian. Oops. And Julian's like, I take it you didn't find my body. Caroline confronts Stefan and she's like, I can't believe that you want to call yourself my best friend, okay, but you lied to me. Like, you should have told me. I'm not Damon. I should have been told about this. And Stefan is like, I know, but it's because you're my friend that I didn't tell you. Like, I didn't want you to look at me differently. And Caroline's like, oh my God, Stefan, I would never look at you differently. No, I love you. And then they separate and Stefan hears something in the woods and gets attacked. Damon and Elena have a little fight and she's like, I know you're mad at me. And he's like, I am mad at you, Elena, okay? But also I don't even care that you lied because I get it. You were so afraid that if you told me the truth, I would spiral, okay? But look, here's the thing. I didn't spiral, okay? I'm holding it together the best that I can for you. Sort of proving, you know, that she makes him a better person. So this is also when he's like, being with you drives me nuts, but being without you also drives me nuts. She says she's really confused and he's not doing a good job of expressing himself. So they stare at each other for a second and then he just like lunges forward and kisses her. It's so cute. When he lets go, she's like, what was that for? And he goes, because I had a bad day and I needed it. And then he walks away. And then you guessed it, the travelers rock up and freaking kidnap Elena too. We open 21 with Damon kidnapping a traveler man in order to get information because Elena and Stefan have been taken. The guy ends up telling them that it doesn't matter what they do, Marcos is already too powerful and there's no stopping him. Liv and Luke are hiding from everybody. Nobody knows where they are. We cut to Elena and Stefan being drained of blood. It's not going well, and they're being kept apart so that they can't help each other. But then Maria, we don't know it's Maria, but like it's clearly Maria if you pay attention to details. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys because I knew it was her the first time I watched it, and you probably would too. Maria breaks into the room and lets Stefan out, and then Stefan goes and finds Elena and gets her out, and they get free. Enzo gets Bonnie involved to translate between him and Damon, and he's basically saying like, don't forget about me. You made me a promise, you better keep it. But Damon is like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm the only hero left in Mystic Falls, okay? And we got a long list of bullshit that I need to fix, and I'm the only one who can fix it now, so you're gonna have to wait. So Enzo takes a bottle of alcohol and throws it into the fire, and it explodes, and Bonnie's like, I think maybe he wants to be penciled in for today instead. While walking home, because they don't have a car, so they're just wandering back home to Mystic Falls, Elena and Stefan have a big talk about how she needs to get back together with Damon. Luke and Liv meet up at a diner. She is at this point pretty sick of everything, and she's like, I can't believe we got involved. This was not the plan. Like, we knew what we were supposed to do. The Coven is so mad at us. Luke is like, but these people are nice and we should help them. And it's so weird to me that that's the breakdown, because in the beginning, Luke was an asshole, and now he's like kind of nice and he likes the Mystic Falls group. I don't know. He ends up getting like psychically attacked by the Coven. She's like, see, I told you they're mad at us. We have to go ahead with the plan and kill Elena or Stefan. There's a nice little side scene of a traveler named Carl inside a lady in Mystic Falls' body. He kills the husband and then just like leaves. Maria shows up in a car and picks up Elena and Stefan to help them get home. Maria has been feeding everybody information because she is trying to help them and in turn save Julian. Marcos finds the cave where the travelers were supposed to be empty and a little note from Damon taking credit for it. He goes to the house to confront Damon about it in person. Bonnie is kind of having a mental breakdown, like just a low-key one. She's doing the thing where she's like deeply in denial. She is basically like packing the dorm room up, and Caroline is like, I don't know why you're worried about this. Like, we have bigger issues going on. Why are you cleaning? And Bonnie is cleaning because she doesn't want them to have to clean once she dies. Caroline has this idea that if they kill Tyler with Julian inside of him, Tyler would go to the other side, and then Tyler could come back with the spell that Liv is working on. Except this is when Bonnie snaps and admits that that spell has been a lie and it doesn't exist, and so Bonnie is preparing for her death, basically. Much to Damon's dismay, Marcos kills one of the traveler bodies and is basically like, these bodies don't matter. Like, they can stay in the Mystic Falls bodies easily. It's not that big of a deal. I don't care. They don't care. It's fine. This is when Marcos is like, the spell that we're working on to break witch magic, it's not just gonna break it here. It's gonna spread out to the whole world. Damon tries to attack him, but he can't kill him because Marcos is too powerful right now. And then the travelers sprinkled throughout Mystic Falls start the freaking spell. Liv and Luke attack Maria, Elena, and Stefan in the car by like blocking them in on the road and like throwing the car back and forth. Not a fun scene if you don't like car crashes. Elena and Stefan are okay, but Maria dies in the accident. Once they get out of the car, the twins just start like breaking their bones like little doll situations. It's so gross, and they're basically like, only one of you needs to die. Which one of you is it going to be? Enzo goes off on Bonnie about the whole lie with the spell situation. He is refusing to die, and she's like, you need to get it together because it's happening. You are gonna die just like me, just like everybody else. Get over it. And then Maria shows up and she's gonna cross over through Bonnie, but she says really heartbreakingly, tell my husband that I tried, and then she disappears. While Damon and Marcos are upstairs having their argument, Tyler Julian is down in the basement, and he's basically like, Damon, he doesn't know I'm here. Use the element of surprise if you're smart enough. So then Damon tricks Marcos into going downstairs into the wine cellar, and he slips the key to the chains that Julian's locked up with under the door. Liv starts to kill Stefan because Luke is not strong enough to do it, and then they lose their magic because of the traveler spell, and Elena is like, oopsies, did your magic fizzle out? And she attacks Liv. But then Elena and Stefan start cooking in the middle of the street because their daylight rings stop working, so they have to go running into the grill. They find Matt, and Matt is like, the tunnels! We can take the tunnels! So they all go running down into the secret tunnels under the town to escape. In the tunnels, Elena starts to drown, and Stefan gets shot because they're reverting back into their like human death situations. In the Salvatore house, Julian jumps out and attacks Marcos, okay? And he's winning, but then his fangs disappear. And he's like, my fangs, what happened to my fangs? So he goes from like hybrid to just werewolf. And then if he's not quick enough, he'll go back to a boy. Damon gets burned in the sun and Marcos is like, ha 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 ha. The travelers start dropping like flies in their Mystic Falls bodies, and then they start waking up in the house around Marcos, Damon, and Tyler Julian. Damon gets shot in the chest again. Julian starts choking and him and Damon have to like run out of the house and escape, and Marcos is like, run fast, bye. So Marcos has moved into the Salvatore house. While Damon is like fleeing through the woods, a car pulls up and it's Jeremy, and Damon's just like, oh, little Gilbert, I have never been so excited to see you in my life. And Jeremy's like, get in the car. Caroline is frantically packing now because now she's the one that's like, we gotta go fast. And Bonnie has stopped packing because she figured out a way to save everybody, but she's got to find Enzo. Matt gives Stefan and Elena some blood bags, and then Damon and Jeremy show up and everybody's reunited. Elena kisses Damon and he's like, what was that for? And she's like, because I had a really crappy day and I needed it. And he's like grinning because he's like, ooh, that's cute. This is a cute moment we're having. And then she's like, I thought I wasn't going to see you again. And Stefan watches this happen and is just like, why don't you guys take Jeremy's car? Y'all take Jeremy's car, y'all head out, and I'll wait here for Caroline. Just go. And it's kind of sad because he's happy that they're back together, but also them being back together, he's like, ooh, knife to the heart. Enzo visits Maria on the other side and is like, we can bring everybody back if you'll tell me the spell that Marcos used to break free from the other side. But before Maria can give it to him, the wind monster comes and sucks her away into oblivion. He goes straight to Bonnie to tell her what happened. Stefan and Caroline are waiting for Bonnie, and while they're outside by the car, Julian comes up and he's like, where's Maria? Where is my wife? Stefan has to tell him that Maria is dead. Stefan's like explaining in his hero voice that there's a way to bring Maria back and everything can be fixed and it'll be okay. Julian freaks out and attacks him anyway. And then he just fucking rips out Stefan's heart. It happens so quick, and I'm looking y'all in the eyes right now, okay? I forgot. I also forgot what happens in the next episode. It was not the week for me to watch these episodes, okay? So Stefan's heart gets ripped out and Caroline is all of us. Caroline's standing there and she just goes, oh, because it happens so fast. There's nothing. There's no more. It's just yeet, gone. No heart. I can't even imagine the horror you would have felt watching that and then having to wait a week, because that's like, it's basically the end of the episode. So then we go back to Bonnie and Enzo talking, and Stefan shows up and she can see him, but Enzo can't, meaning that it's Stefan's ghost and he really is dead. And she basically has to be like, I'm so sorry, Maria's gone. We don't have a way to get the spell anymore. I can't bring anybody back. And he's like, that tracks. And then he just like sadly touches her and disappears. We go back to Caroline, who's just holding Stefan's dead body, screaming for help. And that's the end of the episode. So we open with Stefan's dead body on the couch and Caroline just sobbing next to him. And then who runs in but Elena and Damon? Elena is like, Stefan, oh my God, Stefan, oh my God. And she starts crying and being sad. Damon like can't even look at him, okay? He like takes, and he's just like, no, and like can't do it. I can't do it. I can't look at Damon looking at him like that. No. On the other side, Stefan is watching this happen and he starts to get ripped away from the wind, but Lexi shows up and saves his ass. Damon starts destroying the dorm room when he finds out that Bonnie doesn't have access to the spell anymore, but you know, I will say that is character growth because he doesn't attack Bonnie. He just starts breaking things. Enzo shows up and is like, I have another plan. Bonnie, I need you to gather your witches. Liv and Luke are on the run because they tried to kill Elena and Stefan, but then Elena and Caroline stop them. At first, Liv and Luke refuse to help, and then Caroline is like, oh, okay, and she just snaps Luke's neck, and she's like, now your brother's on the other side. Do you want to help? We cut to Liz helping the Mystic Falls people evacuate so that Marcos can like officially take over the town. He shows her what happens when vampires cross into the town line by taking Julian out of a van, throwing him over the town line and watching as he's like not a hybrid, not a werewolf, broken neck boy, dead. Tyler shows up to Bonnie as himself. So Caroline is so smart. Her plan was correct. Even though she just told Enzo that they need to quit promising to bring so many people back, she of course immediately is like, Tyler, we will bring you back. You're on the list. Lexi and Stefan are searching for Rick, but they can't find him. Lexi wants to know why Stefan didn't leave Mystic Falls, and then she's kind of like, you know what, I'm just kidding. I know why you didn't leave. Her name's Caroline, right? And Stefan is like, what? Caroline? No, maybe. Liz is planning something, but we aren't sure what it is yet. But she is insisting that Marcos bring the travelers to the grill. And she's like, there'll be an open bar. I just need to tell them the town rules before I leave. Bonnie is still lying to Jeremy. At this point, it is abundantly clear that in order to do the spell to bring everybody back, it's going to kill her. She's sacrificing herself. Stefan's ghost shows up, except it isn't Stefan. It's Silas. He's the traveler willing to help them do the spell. Jeremy and Matt go under the town through the tunnels. They're planning on blowing up the grill. So remember, Liz is going to gather all the travelers there, and then Matt and Jeremy are going to blow them up. Marcos has figured out that Liz is up to something, and he is insisting that she stay with him in the grill. He's not letting her leave. Damon and Elena talk, and Damon is like, I have to tell you something, and I need you to try not to get upset. I'm gonna drive my car into the grill and that's gonna trigger the explosion. And she immediately is like, what the fuck do you mean? And he's like, see, Damon, this is why we don't tell her things. This is why. He's insisting that he's gonna be fine because they're bringing everybody back. So whoever triggers the explosion and dies, he's only gonna be gone for a little while. This is his choice and she needs to let him make it. And she's like, wow, I can't believe you're throwing my words back at me like that. And he promises to come back to her and they have a sweet moment. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. Bonnie and Liv are almost ready to start the ritual, but then the wind comes back and almost snatches Enzo. Bonnie has to decide between saving Enzo and saving Silas, and she picks Enzo, so Silas disappears into the wind vortex. Liv starts the spell that will allow them to bring everybody back. Luke is there watching her, and he's like, all right, Liv, come on, you got it. You're gonna be fine, you got this. Matt and Jeremy break the gas lines underneath the grill and then run. Grams shows up to Bonnie from the other side and tells her goodbye because Grams has figured out that Bonnie's gonna kill herself in order to save her friends. Grams also refuses to pass through Bonnie and she's like, but I just want you to know that I found a way for you to find your peace. So when you get there, just remember that I found mine because I secured yours. And they have like this awful heartbreaking hug and then Grams just walks away. Marcos gives it up to Liz that he knows she's up to something and she plays it off by being like, oh my god, do you smell gas? They go into the kitchen and she's playing it up. She's like, I think there must be a leak in the line. Something's wrong. What do we do? And then just beats him over the head and knocks him out. So he's on the ground and she frantically texts Damon. She's like, they're here. Go now. Hurry. And then Marcos wakes up and grabs Liz. So Damon gets into the car, preparing to drive headfirst into the grill. Elena gets into the passenger seat. He's like, whoa, 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 what are you doing here? She's like, you made your choice. Now I'm gonna make mine. Drive. Grinning, he floors it into town. He is not going fast enough though, and she starts to like almost drown again, and they have to die as vampires or they won't come back from the other side correctly, because if they die as humans, they'll just be dead. So they like gun it, and holding hands, they just drive headfirst into the grill, and that shit explodes. It's my nightmare. I watched it for y'all again, but I don't like this scene. Liv is doing the spell and really starting to struggle, but Luke, like I said, is there and he's offering as much support as he can. All the travelers that just died in the grill show up and they start to overwhelm Bonnie. Elena and Damon show up with Bonnie and she's like, run back to your bodies. You have to get to your bodies so you can come through. So they go back to the grill and it's so gross. It is so gross. But Rick is there, finally. And so he shows up next to Elena and he's like, I can't believe you wore your seatbelt. Go to Bonnie quickly so you can get fixed. I will find Damon, because Damon is not in the car anymore. So Damon's in the kitchen with his body, and he finds Liz on the ground, and he's like, no, no, Liz, and he starts trying to save her, but he can't pick up the piece of debris that's on her because he's not strong enough by himself. But then Rick is there, and Rick helps him, and Liz is gonna be okay. Liv is now 100% dying during the ritual. Luke insists that they have to go ahead and start coming through Bonnie, but she wants to wait until everyone is gathered together and they can all start coming back as a group. Luke isn't having it though because his twin sister is dying, so he passes through anyway so that he can go physically back to Liv and try to keep her safe. Enzo crosses next, and the first thing out of his mouth, like immediately, is "Hello, gorgeous," because he walks by Caroline. Tyler comes back and hugs Caroline. It's very cute. Also, he's not a hybrid anymore. Elena doesn't want to leave Damon, but Bonnie grabs her anyway because Bonnie's not taking any chances. That's 4 people now that have gone through Bonnie. So she sways and starts to fall, and Stefan catches her, and then Stefan passes through. I forgot how much the last 10 minutes of this episode just freaking suck, man. I block it out. I block it out. It doesn't... Anyway... So now Stefan and Elena are freaking out in the world of the living because Damon was not back yet and they don't know where he is, and they've just abandoned him to the other side. Lexi starts to cross over, but then Marcos shows up, so they get into a fight and she stops him and kicks him into the void, and he just goes screaming off into the void. So Silas Marcos gone, okay? And then Lexi is like, I can't go through. It's killing you. Like, if I go through and then you don't have enough strength to get Damon through, like, what kind of best friend am I? I'm not doing that, no. And then she just like stands and like faces the light, and she's like, you're not taking me to the void. And that's how she finds her peace, guys. So Lexi's gone now, but she found peace. Liv is dying. I cannot stress that enough, okay? Luke is so worried. Damon and Rick finally show up, and Bonnie's like, took you long enough, and she grabs Rick, and so he passes through. Luke panics and turns the spell off. So when Bonnie goes to touch Damon, she can't get him to cross through. Elena bursts into the crypt and realizes that Liv and Luke are both gone. Bonnie has to tell her that there is no way to save Damon now because that was their one chance. Like, they had the travelers, they did the overwhelming thing, they did the ritual, the people came back. They can't recreate it. They can't do it again. So Elena has a breakdown. And Damon is in the crypt, and Bonnie's like, he's here. You can say goodbye. No, thank you. No. So yeah, Damon's a ghost. So he can touch her, but she can't see him. So there's lots of moments where it's like her hair is moving, and she knows he's in front of her, but she can't look at him. She's having a complete breakdown, and he's just going on and on about how wonderful she is and how loving her and having this life with her, even though it was short, was like the most he'd lived in his entire existence, and she gave him everything and he adores her. When I tell you guys this is one of the saddest episodes of TV for me, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. Caroline comforts Stefan about the fact that he not only lost Damon, but also Lexi in one evening, so he's not doing very well either. He says, though, that Marcos didn't come out, and because Lexi also didn't, he knows that that wasn't a coincidence, and he's like, I think that was her unfinished business. I think she finally found peace. Bonnie calls Jeremy and is like, I'm so sorry, I lied to you. I was never coming back. There was never a spell. Goodbye, Jeremy, I love you. And he's like, don't you dare hang up on me. And she does. So Jeremy's distraught, and he grabs Matt, and they take off to the cemetery hoping to find Bonnie anyway. Rick goes to Elena and hugs her, and she's like, he's gone. He's actually gone. Goodbye. Jeremy shows up screaming for Bonnie. Somehow, until this moment, nobody realized what was gonna happen to her. She wanders over to them just as the other side starts like shattering and getting bright and glowy, and it's really bad. Damon walks up to her. She says, I'm sure there are a million other people we'd both rather be here with right now, but... And then she takes his hand. He says, a couple thousand at most. She asks, do you think it'll hurt? And he goes, I don't need, and it cuts to white, and that's the end of the fucking season. That's the end. That's how it ends. No. Oh boy. Anyway, that's what y'all wanted, okay? You wanted the end of season 5, and you got it. I hope it just gut punched you the way that it gut punched me, and I hope you enjoyed every second of this video. I hope you guys are doing so well. If you did enjoy and you aren't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out. And if you're interested, I do always link my socials down below. So if you want to come connect on any other platforms, they're down there for you if you want them. I will see you guys around so soon. Have a good one. Bye.